Have you ever felt puzzled by the nuanced feelings, concealed motives, or erratic behaviors of women? What if I revealed that there are 10 distinct vulnerabilities most women possess? Ones you can genuinely grasp and use to steer relationships. With lucidity and insight, stay tuned, because once you spot the trends, you'll never view relationships the same way again. Men often plunge into relationships without grasping the subtle dynamics at work. Women, like men, have strengths and susceptibilities, both of which mold their actions. As a man guided by Stoic values, your capacity to identify and handle these vulnerabilities will not only enhance your relationships, but also help you stay calm and insightful in any situation. By the end of this video, you'll possess the knowledge to approach women with empathy, patience, and fortitude. Let's explore the 10 vulnerabilities every man should understand. 1. Fear of dismissal. Dismissal stings deeply for everyone. But for many women, it's a particularly tender and intricate emotion. Unlike men, who might handle dismissal with outward responses such as anger, irritation, or even detachment, women often internalize it. This can spark self-uncertainty and a cycle of overanalyzing. Why does this occur? Many women grow up in environments where social approval significantly influences their self-esteem. Whether through compliments on their appearance, praise for being accommodating, or affirmation from peers, the persistent need for acceptance becomes embedded over time. So, when dismissal occurs, be it in romance, at work, or in friendships, it's not just the immediate moment that hurts. It resurfaces years of doubt, insecurity, and unresolved pain. Consider this: how often have you seen someone replaying situations in their mind, questioning what they did wrong or how they could have improved? It's a distressing cycle that can persist for hours, days, or even weeks. This fear of dismissal is why some women may hesitate to share their emotions openly or take risks in relationships. They dread the heartbreak and emotional burden of hearing no or feeling insignificant. As a Stoic man, it's vital to approach this with sensitivity and compassion. Stoic principles teach us to respond thoughtfully rather than act impulsively. Your role isn't to exploit this vulnerability or use it as leverage. It's to acknowledge it as a shared human experience and foster an environment where she feels valued and appreciated. How can you achieve this? First, practice patience. If she seems cautious or reserved, understand that her reluctance may stem from a fear of being hurt. Instead of pushing her to open up immediately, show consistency in your actions and words. This builds a sense of safety over time. Second, when you notice her questioning herself or fearing dismissal, offer gentle encouragement. For instance, if she asks, "Do you think I'm good at this?" or "Did I say something wrong?" Respond with honesty and a positive attitude. Say things like, "You're overanalyzing, it's not about being flawless," or "What matters is you tried, and that shows your courage." These small affirmations can make a big difference. Lastly, lead by example. Women respect men who handle dismissal with poise and resilience. When you show that dismissal doesn't define youth, it's just feedback or part of life, you inspire her to adopt the same mindset. Over time, she learned that dismissal isn't the end, but a stepping stone for growth. In every interaction, remember, trust and connection thrive when kindness meets empathy. By recognizing her fear of dismissal and responding with calmness and understanding, you not only strengthen your bond, but also help her see herself in a new light, one filled with courage and potential. 2. Overanalyzing and self-uncertainty. Have you ever said something casual and watched it trigger hours of reflection? For many women, overanalyzing is a deeply rooted habit, often linked to a desire for clarity and emotional safety. Women tend to scrutinize relationships and interactions on a much deeper level than men. A simple remark like, "I'll call you later," can unleash a flood of thoughts. Did I sound too eager? Was he upset? Does he even care about me? This often stems from self-uncertainty. In a world that constantly judges women how they appear, what they say, and how they feel, it's no surprise they might over-examine themselves. A casual disagreement or vague response can feel like dismissal. prompting them to dissect every word, tone, and gesture for hidden meanings. Here's a relatable example. Imagine a woman texting a friend about a tough day, only to get a brief reply like, "Oh, that's rough." While most might shrug it off, she might start thinking, "Did I share too much? Am I a burden? Should I have stayed quiet?" This cycle of uncertainty can be exhausting and emotionally draining. So, how can you, as a Stoic, help her navigate this? Your calmness and emotional stability can be a powerful anchor in these moments. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's within our control and let go of what isn't. By embodying this principle, you can gently guide her toward a more balanced perspective. How to approach overanalyzing first. Recognize the signs. When someone is overanalyzing, they often seek reassurance. You might hear questions like, "Are you upset with me? Or do you think I did something wrong?" Rather than dismissing their concerns, acknowledge their feelings. Saying something as simple as, "I see you're worried about this. What's on your mind?" can make her feel heard and understood. Second, avoid fueling her worries. When she's caught in a spiral of what-ifs, resist the urge to overanalyze with her. Instead, bring her focus back to reality. For instance, if she's worried about a vague text from a friend, you might say, "You're reading too much into it. If something's wrong, they'll let you know. Until then, there's no point in stressing." This helps ground her thoughts without dismissing her feelings. Clarity is a gift you can offer in moments of uncertainty. If she's worried about a conversation you had, don't leave room for ambiguity. Be straightforward and honest. For example, if she asks, "Did I upset you earlier?" instead of brushing it off with "It's fine," say, "No, you didn't upset me. I was just thinking about something else." Simple, clear answers can prevent hours of unnecessary worry. Finally, encourage her to focus on what she can control. Share Stoic insights like, "We can't change what others think, but we can control how we respond." This reminder can help her shift her energy away from unproductive overanalyzing and towards self-improvement. One of the best ways to help someone overcome overanalyzing is to model emotional resilience yourself. When you face challenges, demonstrate how to let go of unnecessary worry and focus on what matters. Share your thought process if needed. Used to overanalyze things too, but I realized it doesn't change the outcome. Now I focus on doing my best and moving forward. Over time, your calm demeanor and steady presence can help her see that life doesn't have to be over-examined to be understood. By staying grounded and offering clarity, you create an environment where she feels secure, valued, and at peace. Remember, it's not about fixing her overanalyzing, it's about supporting her in finding balance. When you master this, you'll not only deepen your connection but also embody the strength and wisdom that Stoicism represents. 3. Emotional reliance. Have you ever noticed how women often seek emotional connection in a relationship? It's not just a preference, it's a core need. Women tend to form deep emotional bonds, and when they feel connected to someone they trust, this connection can grow into emotional reliance. At first glance, this might seem like a heavy responsibility, or even pressure. But let me tell you something. This is a profound sign of trust. When a woman relies on you emotionally, it means she feels secure. She's opened a door to her most vulnerable self, expecting you to listen, understand, and support her. This kind of trust is rare and delicate. Many men fail to recognize this and, instead of nurturing this connection, pull back, fearing they'll lose their autonomy. But here's the secret. Stoicism teaches us balance. In Stoic philosophy, balance is the foundation of any relationship. Emotional support doesn't mean sacrificing your independence. Instead, it's about understanding boundaries and setting the right expectations. A woman isn't looking for someone to solve all her problems. She's looking for someone who will stand beside her, provide perspective, and validate her emotions. Consider this. If you're too emotionally available, constantly catering to every whim, and neglecting your own needs, you risk creating an unhealthy dynamic where your value diminishes. On the other hand, if you completely detach and act indifferent, you'll erode the trust she's placed in you. Both extremes are harmful. How to handle emotional reliance the Stoic way. 1. Stay present but not overwhelmed. When she shares her emotions or seeks your support, listen actively. Don't just nod along or offer shallow reassurances. Show her you understand. However, avoid taking on her emotions as if they were your own. Respond with calmness, clarity, and reassurance, qualities that align perfectly with Stoicism. This shows her you care without overstepping your emotional boundaries. 2. Encourage independence. The strongest relationships are built on mutual autonomy and respect. While you offer her emotional support, subtly encourage her to rely on herself to, for instance, when she's stressed about a decision, guide her to find the solution rather than handing it to her. Say things like, "I trust your instincts on this," or "You're more capable than you think." These phrases empower her while maintaining balance. 3. Guard your emotional energy. Emotional reliance can sometimes feel draining if not managed wisely. It's essential to take time for yourself to recharge and refocus, whether through mindfulness, pursuing hobbies, or maintaining friendships. Ensure you have a life outside the relationship. When you take care of yourself, you'll have more emotional strength to offer without feeling overwhelmed. 4. Set clear boundaries. Communication is key. Let her know that you value her emotions but also have personal limits. For example, if you need space after a long day, explain it gently. "I want to be here for you, but I need some time to clear my mind first." This approach is honest and respectful, ensuring she understands your needs without making you feel as though you're being dismissed. The Stoic mindset: respect over reliance. Stoicism emphasizes that unchecked emotional reliance can lead to a relationship where one partner becomes overly dependent on the other. However, when managed wisely, it can transform into mutual respect. By staying emotionally available, yet grounded, you demonstrate strength, leadership, and character traits that foster a healthy, lasting connection. Here's the ultimate takeaway. When you can provide emotional support while maintaining your independence, you'll create a relationship that not only survives, but thrives. Women respect a man who listens, understands, and supports them without losing himself in the process. It's not about being her everything, it's about being her steady, reliable rock. 4. Sensitivity to feedback. Feedback is something we all encounter. But for many women, it can be a particularly delicate matter. Whether it's constructive advice or a casual comment, feedback can feel like a personal critique, even if that wasn't the intent. But here's the thing. This sensitivity to feedback isn't a weakness, it's a deeply rooted emotional response that comes from a place of vulnerability. Understanding this is the first step toward navigating it with wisdom. When women receive feedback, especially from someone they care about, it can trigger a range of emotions, perhaps insecurity, a fear of not being good enough, or a longing to be truly understood. In many cases, feedback can feel like a judgment of their worth, even though that's not the intention at all. This is why, in a relationship, it's crucial to approach feedback carefully and with empathy. As a Stoic man, how do you handle this situation? The Stoic way isn't about avoiding feedback or being harsh in your delivery. It's about responding with emotional resilience and providing a safe space where your partner feels supported. Even in the face of critique, consider this scenario. Your partner has done something that's bothering you, and you feel the need to offer feedback. The natural response might be to express your frustration or disappointment. But for many women, this can feel like an attack. Instead of diving straight into the feedback, take a step back. Approach the situation with understanding and patience. Instead of saying, "Why didn't you do this right?" or "You always mess this up," you can say something like, "I understand how this happened, and I want to talk about how we can improve this together." This approach not only softens the impact of feedback, but also shows that you're not attacking her. You're working with her to find a solution. You're offering a collaborative approach, which builds trust rather than erodes it. But let's dive deeper. Why does feedback often land so harshly on women? It usually ties back to their desire for validation and recognition. Women, like all of us want to feel seen and appreciated. So, when feedback comes in, it can easily feel like it undermines their worth. That's why it's essential to approach feedback with compassion and understanding. When you show genuine care in how you address the issue, you allow your partner to feel secure enough to receive the feedback without feeling personally attacked. Stoicism teaches us that the power to control our reactions lies within us. So, when you're on the receiving end of her emotional response to your feedback, don't react impulsively. Take a deep breath. Don't match her defensiveness with more feedback or a sharp response. Instead, approach it with calmness and understanding. This is where your emotional control becomes a powerful tool. Responding with a composed attitude shows her that you're not reacting to her emotions but addressing the issue at hand. Here's an example. Let's say you've given her feedback and she gets upset or defensive. A reactive response might be to shut her down or dismiss her feelings. But as a Stoic, you can approach it differently. You could say something like, "I understand that this feedback may not feel easy, but I want you to know that I intend to help, not hurt. How can we work through this together?" This response accomplishes two things. First, it acknowledges her emotions and validates how she feels. Second, it reinforces that the feedback is not a reflection of her worth as a person, but rather an opportunity for growth. This mindset fosters open communication and promotes more productive conversations. The Stoic approach to feedback isn't about avoiding difficult conversations or sugarcoating everything. It's about offering feedback in a way that's constructive, respectful, and compassionate. By doing so, you create a space where your partner feels safe to hear the truth without feeling diminished or belittled. Now, you may be wondering, what if she doesn't respond well, even with the most compassionate delivery? That's a valid concern. The truth is, some people have a harder time accepting feedback than others, and that's where your patience comes in. Remember, the reactions of others don't rattle a Stoic. If she reacts defensively, it's important to stay calm and steady. Offer her space to process the feedback without pressuring her. Sometimes, it's not the message that's the problem, it's the timing or emotional state that makes it hard to hear. Over time, this approach builds trust and understanding in the relationship. She will learn that your feedback comes from a place of care, not criticism. As you continue to practice emotional composure and compassionate communication, the relationship grows stronger. She will begin to feel more comfortable accepting feedback and even using it to improve herself. And that ultimately fosters a deeper connection between the two of you. To wrap up, sensitivity to feedback is something we all face, but it doesn't have to create conflict. By approaching it with patience, empathy, and emotional resilience, you can transform how feedback is received in your relationship. Remember, as a Stoic, your emotional control is your greatest asset. By responding with calmness and understanding, you not only diffuse tension, but also create a stronger, more supportive bond. 5. Desire for stability. Have you ever wondered why the idea of stability resonates so deeply with women? It's not just about having a home or money in the banks. Ability is a much deeper, more emotional need. For many women, it's about finding someone who can endure life's challenges without falling apart. Imagine this: a woman faces countless uncertainties in her daily life, pressures from work, family, or societal expectations. In moments of vulnerability, she doesn't just seek someone who can provide solutions, she seeks someone who is the solution through their calm, steady presence. That's where a man's stability becomes irresistible. However, let's be clear, this isn't about flaunting wealth or displaying material possessions. True stability comes from a deeper place. It's about emotional steadiness. A Stoic man embodies this by staying grounded, even when the world feels chaotic. He doesn't react impulsively or let emotions dictate his actions. Instead, his calmness reassures others that everything will be okay. Think about it. A man who keeps his promises, handles challenges with poise, and stays composed under pressure sends an unspoken message. You can rely on me. This kind of consistency is rare, and that's exactly why it's so valuable. Consider financial stability as well. It's not about being wealthy but showing responsibility. A man who manages his resources wisely, avoids reckless decisions, and plans for the future exudes a sense of safety. Women don't want someone who spends extravagantly today and worries about tomorrow. They want someone who builds a foundation for a lasting future. Lastly, remember, strength isn't about control, it's about consistency. A Stoic man doesn't feel the need to dominate or manipulate to prove his worth. Instead, his unwavering character and balanced decisions create an environment where trust can thrive. And trust, more than anything, is the bedrock of stability. When you embody this kind of strength, emotional and practically, you offer something rare, peace of mind, and that, my friend, is a treasure no one can resist. When you understand these 10 vulnerabilities, you gain more than just knowledge. You gain the power to build deeper, more meaningful connections. Instead of being reactive, you become deliberate. Instead of feeling puzzled, you feel confident. Stoicism teaches us that wisdom and empathy are the foundations of all relationships. Every man guided by Stoic wisdom should approach relationships with compassion, patience, and clarity. By recognizing these vulnerabilities, you can navigate the complexities of relationships with strength and purpose, turning challenges into opportunities for growth for both you and the women in your life. If this insight resonated with you, subscribe for more wisdom, or watch the next video to continue your journey.